When a terrible crime occurs in someone's home, it impacts the entire family. This is something everyone is well aware of. Whether it's the home of the perpetrator or the victim, one person ends up in jail, while the other leaves this world. And when the police start pursuing a case, they leave no stone unturned. They solve big cases using the smallest clues. Today's story is about a murder victim's family and the people affected by this case, who shed tears of sorrow, who is driven to such fury as to take a life today. We will uncover everything about this story. But before that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do, and be sure to press the notification bell icon. So, without wasting any more time, let's dive into today's story, which is about the Urvashi Vaishnav case. This story begins in Riyaz district, Maharashtra, in a village called Damain, located in Panvel Taluka. A river, the Gadi River, flows through this village, and a bridge has been built over it. It was December 14, 2022, around noon, when some locals from Damain village were passing over the bridge. Someone noticed a person lying face down near a pillar, with half their head submerged in water. Seeing this, the locals were horrified and immediately reported it to the Panvel police station. Within minutes, the police arrived at the scene and took custody of the body. This was a remote area surrounded by hills and dense forests. Upon examining the body closely, they found it to be that of a woman, aged around 25 to 30. Initially, it seemed she had drowned, but this assumption was quickly disproven. The injuries on her body and marks around her neck indicated otherwise. Perhaps this was a murder case. The police thoroughly searched the area around the body, hoping to find a purse, Idaho card, or some other means of identification. Her face was intact, making her identifiable, but no one knew who she was or where she had come from. Locals didn't recognize her either, suggesting she might have been from outside the area. After the initial investigation, the body was sent for a post-mortem at Panvel's Nana Saheb Hospital. The post-mortem report confirmed that she hadn't drowned, but was strangled to death. Her body also had marks indicating injuries sustained during a struggle. This was now officially a murder case, and it hadn't been long since her death, just 24 hours or less. Since this was a murder, Panvel police station filed a case against an unknown suspect by December 15th, and the investigation to find her killer began. However, identifying the woman was crucial. As it was a murder case, the case was transferred from the local police to Crime Branch Unit 2. The crime branch began their investigation by revisiting the riverbank in Damain village where the body was found, inspecting the scene again, and examining the body in the hospital. All items recovered from the woman were reviewed. Only a few small items and her sandals were found, which provided no clear way to identify her. The woman wasn't wearing any jewelry, no earrings, nose ring, or anything else, which many women typically wear. This led the police to suspect that the killer had removed all her jewelry before disposing of the body. The crime branch took particular interest in her sandals. Something about them raised questions. But how could they identify her from a single sandal? The crime branch then informed all police stations in the district and nearby districts about the unidentified body, asking to be notified of any missing person reports that matched the woman's description. They observed that the sandal appeared new, with the manufacturing company's name printed on it. It was from a local footwear company, which they then contacted to gather more information about where these sandals were sold. Thus began the pursuit of identifying this sandal's origin, despite the countless shops selling similar sandals daily. The police contacted the company that manufactured these sandals and started tracing the purchase. Where are these types of sandals supplied, and which stores sell them? Recently, who bought such sandals? As the police investigate, 3 stores come up that receive such sandals, one in Panvel, one in Vashi, and one in Mumbai. A crime branch team, with a photo of the girl's body and the sandals, visits these stores. They show the photos to the store employees and inquire. This investigation is happening between December 15th and 16. During this time, a salesman in a shoe shop in Vashi recognizes the sandals. He says he sold those sandals and, upon seeing the girl's photo shown by the police, he recognizes her as well. He says the girl came to buy those sandals about a week or 10 days ago. Fortunately, there was a CCTV camera in this shop. The police then start reviewing the footage. According to the salesman's information, the police adjust the timeline and begin watching the footage from December 6th. As soon as a customer appears, the salesman exclaims that it's the same girl. The police also believe it looks like her. Observing closely, they notice a man with the girl. He appears to be quite muscular, like a bodybuilder. The girl chooses the sandals, and the man pays at the counter. The police check the bill, which is also in the girl's name. This gives them her name, Urvashi Vaishnav. They find out she lives in the Koperkarane area of Navi, Mumbai. While they know who the girl is, the police wonder who the man with her might be. He looks like he works out, possibly a bodybuilder. Since Urvashi is from Koperkarane, there's a high chance that this man might be from the same area or nearby, and likely goes to a gym there. The police start gathering information about all gyms in the area. They show the man's photo from the footage around these gyms and question people. They also check the CCTV footage from these gyms, hoping to find out what happened to the girl and if this man is somehow involved or could provide some information. On December 17th, Nerul police station, which is in Navi, Mumbai, contacts a man named Riyaz Vaishnav, asking him to come to the station. Riyaz arrives with his cousin Jitendra and brother-in-law Nitin at Nerul police station. An officer there instructs them to go to Panvel police station. First, the brother-in-law, then the cousin, and eventually, Riyaz himself arrive at Panvel police station. There, the police show them a photo of the girl found near the riverbank in Damani village. They recognize her immediately. It is their sister, Urvashi. Now, the police have found the deceased girl's family. The crime branch starts questioning them, learning about who Urvashi was, what she did, how she went missing, who might have harmed her, and whether they suspect anyone. The police gain valuable information. The girl's name is Urvashi Vaishnav, originally from Dayanan colony in Bundi, Rajasthan. However, for the past 6 to 7 years, she had been living in Navi, Mumbai with her brother Riyaz and cousin Jitendra in Sector 19, Koperkarane. Urvashi, 27, had been working as a waitress at Sona restaurant and bar in Nerul. She had a stable job and was earning well. She even owned a red Baleno car. On the morning of December 13th at 9:30 am, Urvashi left for the restaurant where she worked, accompanied by her friend, Riyaz Khan, who was driving the car. After dropping her off at the restaurant, Riyaz returned to Urvashi's house around 1:30 p.m. He told her brother Riyaz that he had a headache and asked for coffee. Riyaz made him coffee, which Riyaz drank before leaving with the car. Around 5 p.m., Urvashi would often call her brother to let him know her duty was over and that she was on her way home. Sometimes, her brother would pick her up, sometimes her friends, and sometimes she would return alone. However, on the evening of December 13th, Urvashi didn't call her brother. As time passed, evening turned to night, but she didn't return home. When her brother tried to call her, she didn't answer. Her brother informed her brother-in-law, Nitin, who also lived in Mumbai, that Urvashi hadn't come home yet. Her brother Riyaz also called her friend Riyaz, who was shocked that she hadn't returned home. The next day, December 14th, they waited for her to return. But when she didn't, Riyaz, his cousin Jitendra, their brother-in-law Nitin, and Riyaz went to the local police station and filed a missing person complaint for Urvashi Vaishnav. By December 17th, the family learned of her death. The police questioned Urvashi's family members, asking if they had any suspicions. Without hesitation, they pointed fingers at her friend Riyaz. Jitendra saw him bring Urvashi's car home and park it, leaving on his motorbike. Jitendra observed that Urvashi was not with him at the time. Although Riyaz had gone to the police station to file the missing person report, he later disappeared. When Riyaz called Riyaz the first time to ask about Urvashi, Riyaz pretended to know nothing, hung up, and never picked up again. He, too, was missing after December 15th. CCTV footage from a shoe store showed Urvashi shopping for sandals with a man, which her brothers identified as Riyaz Khan. Meanwhile, crime branch teams were investigating at various gyms and reviewing footage. On December 17th, the police discovered that Riyaz was a gym trainer at a gym in Gansali and identified his address in Gautam Nagar, Mumbai. But was Riyaz really Urvashi's killer? When the police visited his home, they only found his wife and daughter. His wife said he hadn't been home for 2 days. The police began searching for Riyaz, analyzing his call details and location history. Call records showed that Riyaz had made multiple calls to a man named Imran Sheikh on the evening of December 13th. When they checked Imran's location data, They saw that he and Riyaz were at the same place on December 13th, starting from an area called Shilfata, then moving through various locations. The police identified Imran as another suspect and located him in Indian Oil Nagar, close to Gawanji, where he worked in parcel delivery. The police apprehended him on December 18th, and through him, they were able to arrest Riyaz. Riyaz and Imran confessed to the crime, detailing how they carried it out and explaining their motive. On the morning of December 13th, Riyaz went to Urvashi's house on his motorbike, parked it there, and took her car, offering to drop her off. Later, he returned to her house around 1:30 p.m. to act normal, drinking coffee to avoid suspicion. That evening, he picked up Imran from Shilfata and then drove to Nerul to meet Urvashi, suggesting they go for a drive. Urvashi, having finished her duty, happily agreed. Riyaz drove, with Urvashi sitting in the front seat, while Imran sat in the back. At Riyaz's signal, Imran strangled Urvashi with a nylon rope, which they had pre-arranged, while Riyaz restrained her hands. They drove to a secluded spot in Panvel, a location familiar to Riyaz, and threw her body under a bridge, hoping it would sink in the water. However, her body got stuck on a pillar. After disposing of her belongings, Riyaz returned to fill the car's fuel tank to avoid arousing suspicion. He then parked her car at her home, took his motorbike, and left. The following morning, he withdrew rupee 10,000 from her ATM and made further withdrawals totaling rupee 100,000 with the help of an unknown woman. Riyaz eventually revealed the motive behind the crime. He had met Urvashi at a bar where she worked, and they quickly became close friends and then romantically involved. Urvashi wanted to marry Riyaz and had introduced him to her family as a friend. She was so serious about him that she introduced him to her brothers and even took him to her ancestral village in Bundi, Rajasthan. Riyaz had promised her marriage by January 2023. Initially, Urvashi gradually came to know that Riyaz was already married and even had a daughter. According to some reports, Riyaz had been married 3 times, divorced twice, and had a daughter with his 3rd wife. Despite all this, he made Urvashi his girlfriend and even promised to marry her. This revelation was a huge shock to Urvashi. She threatened Riyaz that she would file a fraud case against him with the police and reveal the truth to her family. Their relationship turned tumultuous, with frequent fights and arguments, but eventually, things settled down, and they went back to being together as before. However, Urvashi began pressuring Riyaz to marry her, threatening that if he didn't, she would file a complaint with the police, tell her family everything, and even confront Riyaz's family. At this point, Urvashi didn't want to part from Riyaz under any circumstances. But Riyaz had other plans in mind. He began considering killing her. Riyaz thought that she wouldn't leave him alone if alive, and that if she revealed the truth to everyone, he'd face immense disgrace. Just days before the murder, Urvashi had taken Riyaz to Rajasthan to attend a wedding. Upon returning from the wedding, Urvashi insisted even more on marriage. Riyaz had decided to murder her but needed to plan how to carry it out. During this time, he contacted his friend Imran Sheikh, asking to borrow some money, promising to return it later. Riyaz then came up with an idea to include Imran in the plan. He proposed that instead of lending him money, Imran could help with a task, for which Riyaz would pay him rupee 1,000 without needing repayment. Greedy for money, Imran agreed to be part of Urvashi's murder. After the murder, Riyaz gave Imran the promised rupee 1,000. The police began their investigation based on Riyaz's statements, gathering evidence from various sources. CCTV footage from an ATM in Kohrein captured Riyaz and Imran together, and another ATM showed Riyaz withdrawing money alone using Urvashi's ATM card. In Nerul, an unknown woman was seen withdrawing money from the ATM, and fuel was purchased at a gas station, all caught on camera. They also had call details and location history as evidence. The challenge in this case was that no one had witnessed the actual murder or disposal of Urvashi's body. Only circumstantial and technical evidence was available. On March 16, 2023, Panvel police submitted a charge sheet in court, initiating the case against Imran and Riyaz. So far, 49 witnesses have testified. Riyaz applied for bail multiple times but was initially rejected. However, on September 2, 2024, the Sessions Court granted bail to Riyaz, allowing him to be released. There has been no update on Imran. This is how, despite being married, a man maintained an extramarital affair, and a woman, unaware of his marital status, fell in love with him. And, as you now know, things took a tragic turn. There are many cases of crimes arising from live-in relationships, and they're only increasing. Riyaz deceived Urvashi with false promises of love, which led Urvashi's family, her mother and brother, to demand his execution. Yet Riyaz is roaming free on bail, and the government seems powerless to act. Riyaz should have been kept in custody regardless of the case's status, and he should not have received bail under any circumstances. What's your opinion on this case? Share your thoughts in the comments section.